Okay, so today we're going to talk about perpendicular lines. So yesterday we talked about parallel lines. What do we know about parallel lines? Mario? They don't have to be. They have the same slope. Excellent. They also never meet, right? They never intersect. So what's different about perpendicular lines? They do intersect. Exactly. They do intersect. Let's go ahead and pick black. Okay, so perpendicular lines, I had this and then I got away from it, intersect they have a 90-degree angle. I wonder if they'll do a little degree sign. I doubt it. Oh, it did. Perfect. 90-degree angle, and their slopes are opposite reciprocals. So make sure you have that down in your notes. They intersect, they create a 90-degree angle, and the slopes are opposite reciprocals. And I can write an example by just simply taking a line. What am I going to do with that line? Let's copy and paste it. Copy and paste. What am I going to do with this line? Make it what? Make it steeper. Well, before we make it steep, let's do... What else do we need to do it? It needs to be opposite steepness and negative or opposite direction. So if it looks like that, I need it to be switched horizontally, so now it's in the negative direction. And let's make it opposite. Right now they're the same steepness, only in the opposite direction, correct? So I need to make it opposite steepness, so I need to make it more steep. Questions? Okay, make sure you have that written down. All right, so let's start off with, I have A's have their boards, right? B's have the clickers. That means who's supposed to be talking, Ethan? B is supposed to be talking. So go ahead and B's explain to A's how to do number 1. Ten seconds, get your answer in. Okay, we had one person put in B. So Philip, why would somebody put in B? They did the opposite, but not the reciprocal. Excellent. So let's make sure that doesn't happen again. Here's the next one. Now this time, let's not shout it out. 20 seconds. Get your answer in. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I have like 3 people who put B. Let's see. How about somebody, Israel? Why would somebody put B? That's the same thing as last time, though. They did the opposite, but not the reciprocal. Right? Because if the opposite of this line would just be this line. That's not a very good one. The opposite of this line would be this line. Are those perpendicular? No. That's perpendicular. Opposite slope and opposite direction. Okay, so you can't forget, you got to do both. All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's switch boards. Let's put the boards in B's hands. And A, why don't you explain how to do this to your shoulder partner? Just like yesterday, only you have a perpendicular slope instead of a parallel slope. Okay, so our first step in graphing a line that's perpendicular to this point is I'm going to go ahead and graph that point. So that's at, make sure, let's do blue. Over 2, down 1, correct? All right, now I need to figure out what the slope of my original line is. The slope of my original line is up 2 over 1. In the negative direction. So what would be my perpendicular slope? Positive 1 over 2. Actually, we should do that in blue, right? Because it's going to be a blue line. So my perpendicular, you guys have seen that before? That's fine. My perpendicular slope is going to be positive 1 over 2. So I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 2. Or down 1 and to the left 2. So that line is going to look like that. So let's write the equation of our new line. Do I even need to use point slope? All I need is my slope, and what's my B? Negative 2. So tell me my equation. How about Jesse? Y equals? No. The blue. In the blue. 1/2 x. Good job. Yes. Right here. All I do is, I need the talking to stop, please. I plotted the point. I found the original slope of this line, found the perpendicular slope, and they just counted. Okay? All right, let's try another one. Show me the equation of that line. A perpendicular line for that one. Okay, so let's work with, how about Eduardo? Eduardo, where did I start? Where do I start, I should say? The point, which is 3, negative 1, so where do I go? 1, 2, 3, and down 1. Perfect. Awesome. So, now what do I do? What's the slope of this line? 0. So what's the slope of my perpendicular line? Not 0. What's the opposite of 0? Undefined. Isn't it the opposite of 0 undefined? Yes. Right? You either have a straight slope with slope dude where it has 0 fun, and the opposite of that would be going down the cliff. Right? Okay. So now I just have to draw that line. Correct? Now what's the equation of that line? X equals 3. Good job. Question? All right. Let's try this one, but pencils down. I'm going to do it first. Okay, so it says graph a line that's perpendicular. I can't start until everybody stops what they're doing and is paying attention. Okay, graph a line that's perpendicular to the given line and goes through 2, negative 1. So the first thing I'm going to tell myself is 2, negative 1 is the point that my perpendicular line is going to be going through. But I don't know the slope of that line yet. So let's look at the slope of the line that I've been given. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. So the slope is up 5 over 1. So now I'm going to state my perpendicular slope. My perpendicular slope would be the opposite of 5, which is negative 5, and the reciprocal. Opposite slope, opposite steepness. Opposite slope, opposite steepness. Okay, everybody good so far? Now that I have my slope and a point, let's go ahead and graph it and see what happens. So if I go up 1 and to the left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me go ahead and graph that line. Am I going to be able to use B for this one? No. It's not going to work graphically, right? So let's go ahead and use point-slope form. So when I use point-slope form, I need a point and a slope, correct? I have a point. I have a slope. Y minus, what's my Y value? Negative 1 equals my slope, which is negative 1/5 times x minus my x value, which is 2. So I get y plus 1 equals negative 1/5 x plus a negative times a negative is a positive. If I don't know what that is in my head, I can go ahead and write it over here. Negative 1/5 times negative 2 equals positive 2/5. My final step is to solve for y. So I need to subtract 1 from both sides. But 1 can't be subtracted from 2/5. Why not? 2/5 is a fraction, so let's change 1. 2/5, how could I change 1 so it's got a 5 in the denominator? Multiply it by 5, right? Is negative 5/5 the same as negative 1? Good, so let's concentrate on this one. What's 2/5 minus 5/5? Negative 3/5, which kind of makes sense, right? If this was broken into 5, wouldn't that be negative 3/5 right there? Makes sense to me too. Questions? Fractions aren't so much fun, right? But they're doable. We can do that. All right, let's look at our steps. So my first step was to find the slope of the given line. We did that, 5 over 1. State the opposite reciprocal, negative 1 over 5. Fill in the point-slope form. Did that, and we solved for y. Ready for another one? Why don't you guys, no, let's do the next one, and then we'll copy it down. All right, so what's different about this one? There's no graph. So I just need to find the slope of the given line. I'm going to use this point, and I need to find my slope. So let's find our slope. How could I possibly find this slope? Solve for y, so what would I do first? Subtract 4x from both sides. When I subtract from, Aaron, no writing yet, just listening. So I get 2y equals negative 4x plus 8. Now what do I do? Divide everybody by 2. That goes away, and I have y equals negative 2x plus 4. So what's my slope? This slope happens to be, let me change, negative 2. So if my slope is negative 2, what's my perpendicular slope? Positive 1 over 2. So now I need point-slope form. So y minus, what's my y value? Negative 2 equals my slope, which is 1/2 times x minus 1. This becomes y plus 1 equals 1/2 x. What's 1/2 times negative 1? Negative a half. My final step? Yes. Thank you for catching that. Y plus 2. Wonder how I did that. All the ones over here? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So when I subtract 2 from both sides, I have to change that 2 into a fraction again, aren't I? Y equals 1/2 x, a negative half, and a negative 2. How could we change that so that they match? Negative 4 over 2 is the same as negative 2, right? So if I have negative 1/2 and negative 4 halves, how many halves do I have total? Negative 1 and negative 4 makes negative 5 halves. And that's my answer right there. Go ahead and write that down. All right, why don't you guys try this one on your own? Okay, my first step is to find the slope of the given line. How could I find the slope of that given line? Get y by itself. So I'm going to do that in the purple. So divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Y equals negative 5/2 x plus 4. Levi, if this is our slope of the regular line, then what's the slope of my perpendicular line? 2/5? Positive. Perfect. All right, what do I do next? Math. Specifically? Levi? Okay, Selena, tell me. Excellent. So y minus, what's my y value? Negative 4 equals my slope, which is 2/5, times x minus 10. This one's a little easier, right? Why is this one easier than the last one we did? Because it's not going to end up in a fraction. Good. They're going to cancel out. All right, so I have y minus 4 is y plus 4. And when I distribute, I get 2/5 x minus. What happens to 2/5 when we multiply it by negative 10? Or doesn't the 5 cancel? And you're left with 2? So it's negative 4. Now what do I do? Subtract 4 from both sides. And I get y equals 2/5 x minus 8. And that's your equation. Question. Try this one and put this one in your clickers. Check with your shoulder partner and make sure you've got it right. Let's see how you guys did. Oh, that's pretty decent. Alrighty. All right, so let's find the perpendicular line. So how am I going to find the perpendicular line? Get y by itself. So how do I get y by itself? Subtract x from both sides. There's way too much talking. Let's get rid of this. And I get y equals negative x plus 2. So if negative 1 is my slope, what is my perpendicular slope? Positive 1, right? So which one of these is wrong? A and B are wrong. All right, so now we're going to put it in point and slope form. So y minus, what's my y value? Negative 4 equals my slope, which is 1 times x minus negative 5. These become positive. These become positive. All right, so now I have y plus 4 equals x plus 5. My final step is to do what? Subtract 4 from both sides, and I get y equals x plus 1.
Yes.
My answer is C. Questions? There's still so much shuffling. All right, we don't have enough time to try another one. Let's do these. Which one is not and why? Let's try this one. Let's pick on Christian. Which one is it not and why? It's not D? Okay, why? Why is it not D? Because this one says negative? That's a parallel line. Same slope. Perfect. Okay. Somebody else tell me. How about Celeste? Which one is it not and why? Oh, sorry. I'm confusing myself, guys. Look it. This one says parallel. So it can't be that one. I just gave off why it is that one. Which one can it not be? Why can't it be A? That's not negative. Let's try this again. 5, guys. I'll put another minute on the board. Let's see. How about Lauren? Tell me which one of these lines is not perpendicular to that line and why. It's not A or D because the slope is not opposite. How about Carlos? It's not C because the slope is not the opposite reciprocal. Okay, I need to give you your homework, guys.